So welcome everybody. It's so good to see you all again. So tonight the subject is choice. Oh my God, that's a big one. Of course, when we look to choice, so often, it's connected with another non-dual quality, freedom, the freedom of choice. And when we look at the freedom of choice, the contrary is the law of determination. So let me kind of first look at choice. So choice is a non-dual quality, and that's important to understand for choice, that it's a non-dual quality. And to be able to kind of really move to the depth of a non-dual quality, it's unconditional. And unconditional means there is no entanglement. It's free. There's no agenda. It's a given. It's part of our makeup. It's one of the qualities which came with us, and maybe a godly quality. And so often there is this kind of misunderstanding around choice. This misunderstanding is that we think that if we choose, that it is a choice which has something to do with the world outside ourselves. I didn't choose for this government. No, you didn't, probably not. And maybe you did choose for the government, but then the government is not doing exactly what you expected to do, so you didn't choose for it. I didn't choose for this life. I didn't choose for my parents. It just happened to me. I didn't choose for the bad things which are happening in my life. The strange thing is, if good things are happening to you in your life, it's like, I chose for this. This is how I want to have it. It's my choice. But bad things we don't choose. And has that to do something with the non-dual quality of choice? The good things, the bad things which are happening in your life, what is happening in the world? So when we really look to the depth of the choice, the non-dual quality of the choice, then what we see, it's much more about how we relate to things, our attitude towards ourselves, and our attitude towards others. So the choice of attitude has an incredible impact on the feeling of freedom we feel. If we have the feeling that we have a choice, then what is happening is that we can choose every moment. And that's interesting because, a little bit as choice, you could see it as a bird in the sky. The bird is looking down, makes a choice, and he sees a goal or a prey, and then the bird crashes towards the earth, into the structure. So if we make a choice, then it means that we kind of make a movement into structure so often. I choose to study medicine. So you make a movement into structure. Or I choose for this person. Let me let some people in. Or Georgie, are you doing that? Good. So when you look into that, the choice to become something, the choice to do something, the choice to go somewhere, there is a movement into structure. And then, of course, when we make a choice and we move into structure, then so often we say, oh, but this is not what I chose for. But you chose for it, you know, and you have to stay with your choice. You made your bed and now you have to sleep in it, as they say in England. And this has nothing to do with the non-dual quality of choice. We can make a choice, but we can make a choice at every moment. If we make a choice to choose to go in a certain direction, then at any moment we can choose to go in a different direction when we see this is not beneficial or this is not really where I want to go. There lies the freedom, which is so important. In a way, it's a very vulnerable non-dual quality because so often, partly because we project outside the freedom of choice. The world is doing things to us we don't want. We're having experiences we don't want. And we have no choice because it's just happening. A war is starting. We don't believe in the war. We don't want the war, but there is a war. Not our choice. So we have no freedom. We have no choice but to react in a certain way. And we feel victimized. We feel victimized by life, victimized sometimes by God, who's punishing us, by the experiences which are coming on our pathway. And we start to resist. We start to resist the experience. We start to resist life. We start to resist being. And when we resist, we start to suffer so often. We get stuck. And we get stuck and we have the feeling that we have no choice anymore. We don't want this. This is not what I voted for. This is not what I choose. And already when I say this, I can feel the suffering. There's nothing you can do anymore. And this is not really about choice. This is about the feeling that you've got no choice. So, where is the choice in this? And again, as I said before, the choice is how you relate to it. The choice is how is your attitude? What is your attitude? And attitudes can be quite different. You know, we all move through trauma in our lives. And if it's not a trauma which is coming forward at a certain moment in your life, you know, there is the epigenetic traumas we take with us. And the moment a trauma is touched, we get very deeply entangled. We kind of lose ourselves in a kind of what you could say trauma tunnel, in the reality of the trauma. And there seems to be no freedom, no choice. Things are just happening. A reality is there, which seems to be there always, never been different. And we have no choice. We have no freedom. But in the background, there is always a choice. There is a choice how to move with this, how to relate to it. What is your attitude towards it? And again, when there is a resistance and we don't want it, we suffer more. If we make a choice to look our fear, our pain in the eyes, to take ourselves serious in our woundedness, things are moving in a different way. And again, there is always this choice in attitude. This choice in attitude that some people who are traumatized, for instance, by neglect in their childhood, which can be a very deep trauma. So they carry the pain inside of themselves, and maybe the trauma is not worked out, but they make a choice never, never to neglect, to be there for others. I'm not going to neglect. And others make another choice, the choice to kind of, to project their trauma outwards, to blame, to revenge, to punish others for their pain, to do to others what has been done to them. There is always a moment of choice in that. Choice is there in the attitude. And the attitude gives us the opportunity to move beyond the contraction which is there, the trauma which is there, in how we are relating to it. What is our attitude towards it? And then we have the choice also, when something is happening in our lives, to either relate to it or not to relate to it. Again, in this, we make choices. So we are touched in something which is extremely painful and we react on it. And then we can make the choice, okay, I'm not going to react right now. Not now. I'm not going to confront myself with this pain or this anger, this rage, this grief right now. Not now. Not right now. So it's the choice to repress what's happening in the moment. And sometimes this is important because something else is needed from us. And it gives us the opportunity also to be there for others, even if we are in deep pain. We say, not right now. This is an important choice. Not right now. But we can also choose never. This never happened. This doesn't exist. I don't want this. This is all connected with choice. And when we make this choice, we suppress. It's not allowed to be there. And we suppress partly because maybe there is a fear for whatever is touched inside ourselves. But for sure, there is a resistance to experience this. So we make the choice not to experience it. We choose for the resistance. And then again, on the long term, what we see is that we get entangled. We lose partly the freedom of choice because we automatically move into this I didn't choose for. I don't want it. It's an anti-choice. I don't want this. Resistance. And the more we resist, the more we have the feeling that we have to fight against something. This cannot be. And when something cannot be, can you feel what's happening with choice? When something cannot be, we lose connection with choice because we cannot choose in it anymore. We start to suffer. And again, as I brought forward a lot of times, it's important to understand the difference between suffering and pain. Pain, sadly enough, is part of our lives. Pain comes and goes. But my definition of suffering is when we get stuck in the pain, when we fight with the pain, when it's impossible for us to accept the pain which is there. And when we get into a fight with something, we get obsessed with something because it has to go away. It's not allowed to be there. And on the background, these are all choices we are making. Little steps of little choices we are making. But what you see, it becomes kind of a corruption of choice. We want to undo. Like we want to change the world so that we don't need to suffer. I cannot stand when somebody is talking about pain. I just cannot stand it. So nobody is allowed to talk about pain in my environment. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about illnesses. Don't talk about sorrow. Be positive. Don't talk about problems or difficulties. I cannot stand it. As an example, how we kind of, project things outwards. And of course, we put on the television and there is this suffering coming forward. Is horror coming forward? We're confronted with it all the time. We have no choice. We become a victim. The whole world is against me. Life is against me. And sometimes this needs to happen to the depth to kind of come to a realization that the choice is not about changing the world. It's not about telling people what to do and what not to do. The choice in the depth, the freedom, is there in how we relate to it, our attitude, how we relate in the first place to ourselves, and in the second place to the world around us. Attitude. So that makes choice a very important quality, partly because, our whole process of inner growth, of development, is defined by attitude, by changes in attitude, attitude towards yourself, attitude towards others. It's not about what you reach, how much light you can contain, how big you are, how strong you are, how great you are. This is not about inner growth or self-development. It has nothing to do with it. How enlightened you are. It's not a goal. It's not something you can reach into. It's not something you can buy or sell. It's directly connected with attitude. Attitude to yourself, attitude to the world, others, attitude to life, attitude to God. And it is a little bit difficult because, we have these two laws, the law of freedom of choice and the law of determination. The law of determination, that means that things are going as they meant to go. Some things are written in stone. This will happen. That's the law of determination. And some of us, in our childhood or maybe in dreams or later on, kind of had impressions of some of the things which happened in our lives or will happen in our lives. It's like you foresee some things. And this is quite common, this foreseeing. And this is connected with the law of determination, that some things, some situations are coming forward. Sometimes beautiful situations, sometimes difficult situations. So we dream about it, and sometimes you dream about it, years before it's happening. And when the situation is coming forward, it's almost like a déjà vu. Oh, I recognize this. There is something with this. There's something with this situation. What was it about? And it's not about the situation. It's about your reaction to this situation. It's an important situation because there could be a change of attitude. That's the key. And the change of attitude makes the total change. Where we can dream that we totally get stuck in a certain situation and the suffering is immense. If the situation is coming forward and we realize this, and we realize that we can have a different attitude towards the situation as in our dream. And maybe partly why this is why we have these dreams. The situation, the outcome of the situation will be completely different. It are key moments in our lives. And this is often, when we look to people who are able to tell us what will happen in the future, or people who are writing down things which are happening in the future. It's all about situations. And maybe things will come forward, but the impact of the situation, the severity of the situation, is immediately connected with how we relate to it, our attitude towards it, in the collective and as an individual. And there is the choice. There is the freedom. We cannot decide if it will rain or not rain tomorrow. But our attitude towards the rain, there is our freedom. How are we dealing with it? Do we see the rain as a personal punishment of life and God and this planet towards us? Or do we choose to suffer the rain, to buy an umbrella, or just to enjoy the feeling of the water on our skin? All different attitudes. And all of them are okay. As long as we remind ourselves that we have a choice in it. We can play with seeing it as a punishment. It's destroying my day. Go into this thing and feel it to the depth. Experience that. And half an hour later, we can choose to really enjoy the rain on our skin. To experience things in different ways according to the attitude we have. The freedom to play with experience, to understand to the depth how attitude is coloring experience. This is what choice is about. It's about living, experiencing. It's about the freedom to dance through life. And it's about having oversight. The understanding that an experience is just an experience. And according to our attitude, we can relate to it in different ways and see different aspects of the experience. And all of them are possible and all of them are true as an experience. Okay, I leave it like this. We have a 5-minute break, and after 5 minutes, Georgie will give us a beautiful guided meditation without any choice.
Okay, so let's come back for the guided meditation. But first, the non-dual choice in us greets the non-dual choice in you. Okay, just organize. So if you could find a comfortable position, you can actually freely choose an attitude of comfort. Whatever we think is comfortable is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's possible to experience as comfort. As you begin to ponder that comfort with your mind, your imagination, with your feeling, with your body, to experience it, to be curious about it. Just notice how it's a pleasurable feeling of dropping down or dropping in. We're letting ourselves dissolve a little bit into the comfort which is here, even if there are some areas which are less comfortable. We're letting ourselves relax into this area of relaxation, deep within the inner world, regardless of moments of stress or areas which feel tense or blocked, letting ourselves experience the relaxation anyway. We might notice our breathing. Even if our breathing is irregular or a little strained, just noticing the naturalness of the breathing, which is going to happen anyway, whether or not we notice it now. Maybe we could relax even more deeply, leaning back even a little more deeply. Just allowing whatever we're sensing or feeling to have a life of its own without interfering. And perhaps it's even possible from this spacious sense of awareness to become aware of the whole physical body, at once now, just softly and easily becoming aware of your whole physical body. Now, when you're ready, I'd like you to picture or imagine that in front of you, to one side, is a hedgehog. In front of you, to one side, is a hedgehog with a little nose, little hands, prickly back. Let yourself take in the presence of this hedgehog. And on the other side, in front of you, is a donkey with great big eyes and a soft mane and big ears. And here you are, aware of both the hedgehog and the donkey. Now I'm going to ask you to choose one, to choose either the hedgehog or the donkey. And notice where you go to. Where do you go to inside your consciousness to make a decision that you're going to choose a hedgehog or a donkey? What's this space? The space of choice. Try and stay for a little bit longer, opening up to this bright space of choice, of pure possibility, from which you can select a hedgehog or a donkey. Maybe both, maybe neither. Now let yourself choose one of these. The hedgehog's looking at you, the donkey's looking at you. You're going to choose one. Let yourself experience your choice. Can you feel the presence of the other one? The one not chosen. Let yourself move back now to this dimension of choice, where you're free again to choose to move in any direction that's needed. Staying in this dimension of choice where everything is possible. Leaning back a little into its light. Opening up to the aliveness of possibility before any decision is taken and after all decisions are taken. This place from which all the choosing happens. Place of continuous choice. Let yourself open up and lean back a little. Rest your head backwards a little into this bright light of infinite choice. Now, when you're ready, I'd like you to connect to a situation in your life, from the past or the present or maybe the future, where it seems that you have no choice, where you feel stuck. A place or a time or a situation where you felt completely caught, where you had no choice, where maybe you still have no choice. Connect with the atmosphere of that situation. What is its atmosphere? How is this atmosphere moving through you? How does it feel to be stuck, to be caught? What is the mood of your body in this situation? Just notice where there is resistance in the body, in the heart, in the mind. And notice how you suffer this situation. How are you suffering this situation? What is that experience? How is it to suffer this? And now, softly and gently, I want you to pull your attention away from the situation and connect with your left eyeball. Connect with the sphere of your left eyeball and the muscles around your left eye. And let your left eyeball relax as much as it wants to as you connect with. You're connecting with the left eyeball now. Relaxing the left eyeball. Now softly and gently connect with the right eyeball and the muscles around the right eyeball. And let your right eyeball relax now. We are connecting with the right eyeball now and letting the right eyeball relax. Now, lean back a little and let yourself easily connect with both eyeballs at the same time now. We're connecting with both eyeballs at the same time. And we're letting both eyeballs relax now. Noticing the mystery of the sensation as both eyeballs easily relax now. Curious how it feels to let both eyeballs relax. Now let yourself be pulled back again, or drift easily back again to the situation where you felt completely stuck, the situation where it seems there's no choice. And just allow any impressions to come forward. We're connecting again to the situation where it seems we have no choice. And allowing it, a situation to have a life of its own now. And when you're ready, I'd like you to make a feeling connection with your left hand and allow your left hand to relax as much as possible. We are becoming conscious of and experiencing the sensations in the left hand as the left hand is easily relaxing now. And letting the left hand have its own temperature, moisture, weight, and atmosphere as we relax our grip on the left hand now and move over to the right hand. We're connecting with the right hand now and allowing the right hand to relax. We're letting the right hand have its own tingling sensation, or temperature, or moisture, and atmosphere, as we let the right hand have a life of its own. Now, as you lean back even more deeply inside yourself, it's possible to sense both hands at the same time. How amazing it is to feel the sensations in both hands at the same time now. When you're ready, I'd like you to again make a feeling connection with that situation in which you feel or felt totally stuck. This time or space where it seems there is no choice. And just let the situation come to life through you and around you. And notice any impressions. We're allowing the recall of this situation in which there was a feeling of being totally stuck, having no choice, the atmosphere of that, the emotion of that. Noticing even areas where we resist, the sense of resistance, and the suffering around that. Noticing also those areas where the resistance is disappearing. And the suffering is moving. To bring our attention now to the left foot, we're becoming conscious of the bone and the skin and the tendons and the sensations in the left foot. And just allow the left foot to relax now. We're noticing the heat or density or tingling or moisture or sensation in and around the left foot. Letting the left foot have a life of its own. But now, easily and naturally, we're becoming conscious of the right foot and inviting the right foot into consciousness now, letting it relax or expand into consciousness. We're allowing the sensations and sensitivity and temperature and moistness of the right foot to have a life of its own. Now, how amazing it is to allow ourselves to be conscious of both feet at the same time. We're allowing the consciousness within both feet at the same time now. And just as we are conscious of both feet at the same time, we can expand our consciousness through the body and add to it the consciousness of both hands at the same time, together with both feet. We're conscious of hands and feet at the same time now. Now we can connect with both eyeballs at the same time, adding the consciousness of both eyeballs at the same time. Now we're leaning back a little more, opening up, recalling that dimension of pure choice, infinite choice, the place from which the choosing occurs. We're allowing that bright light of pure choice now to be shared with eyeballs left and right, hands left and right, and feet left and right. Sharing the atmosphere of pure choice with eyes, hands, and feet now. Just continue to share that energy of pure choice with the whole field of experience now, and with anything that comes forward as we allow whatever needs to happen to happen. Okay, as we are gradually coming back to the here and now, or this kind of time, normative here and now, we want to thank the people who joined us on YouTube, or maybe tomorrow or the next day, for being with us here now. And we appreciate your sharing of consciousness with us, and we will be back again next Wednesday. If you would like to suggest a topic or have a particular question, not so much personal, but general, it can be personal, general, then type it into the comment box, and we're going to start addressing different suggested themes or different questions. Not that we have any answers, but we can certainly explore things together experientially. So thank you for joining us for now, and we see you again next Wednesday.